WCLN 1170 Radio and Star Vision Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by J.W. Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The name of the program is We Should Know. We're pleased to be here today. I want to thank some folks over in the Rollsboro area. I was over there recently at Janie and Mickey Two's home, talking with the ladies club over there, talking about this program and some of the things that we were doing and how the program came about. I want to thank them for inviting me over, and I very much enjoyed that. Also, I want to thank Nicole for that wonderful introduction she always does. We're coming to you on Star Vision Channel 16, WCLN, 1170 AM, and we're worldwide on the internet. Facebook at We Should Know. That's We Should Know Facebook. Like us on Facebook. And if you have comments or questions, we should know edu@gmail.com. That's we should know edu@gmail.com. We're talking about a program today and a subject that's near and dear to everybody's heart. We have Rusty Brown with us and Vicky Billings. We're talking about Guardian ad litem. Rusty, you are the manager, I guess, or supervisor for the district, for the 4th prosecutorial district here, or judicial district. Tell us what Guardian ad litem is, but first, before you get into that, tell us about Rusty Brown. How did you get into this program? How did you get into being the manager of this program?
Well, JW, I started, I grew up in Onslow County in Richlands, North Carolina, so I'm not far from there. I went to UNCW and I knew that I wanted to work with children. As I got through the program at UNCW, studying criminal justice and sociology, when I finished up, I had an opportunity to become what is easiest said as a juvenile probation officer, but we call them court counselors. Mm-hmm. And so I started 22 years ago as a court counselor. Actually, I spent 22 years as a juvenile court counselor. I worked in New Bern and Craven County and Pamlico County, and eventually came back home to Onslow County. After spending 22 years there, the Guardian ad litem program had an opening for a district administrator, and that's my position. And I started in July of 2010, so I'm 2.5 years into this. And little did I know kind of what I was getting myself into, I guess. But it has been exciting, it has been rewarding, and our district covers 4 counties, covers Sampson, Duplin, Jones, and Onslow counties. Enjoy it very much. I will say that we are currently district-wide working with approximately 400 children, and we're doing that with the services of 130 or so Guardian ad litems, trained volunteers in the community that come to serve and to advocate for these children who have been abused or neglected.
Well, Rusty, before I get to Vicky, this program is a statewide program.
It absolutely
is. Is it divided up into each district as far as the court districts?
Yes, sir. It's covered by general statute, and long story bearable is that back in the 70s, a judge in Washington State was listening to an abuse and neglect case, and that judge was listening patiently, trying to figure out what's in the best interest of the children and who's standing up for the children. Basically what the judge found is there's an attorney there for mom, there's an attorney there for dad, there's an attorney there for Department of Social Services, which is very family and child oriented. Mm-hmm. But the judge wanted to know, like, who's going to represent the child? Who finds out what the best interest of the child is and what their needs and wants are? So that judge started recruiting family members and community members to come into court and advocate for the children and form independent observations and try to relay what the children's needs and wants were to the court. And that soon caught on across the nation. So in 1986, the program was brought to the 4th Judicial District. It actually started in North Carolina in 1983 and was brought to our district in 1986. Been going ever since.
Okay. Well, and it's a perfect segue in. Vicky, again, thank you for being here as well. You are one of those volunteers that Rusty just referred to that apparently has a compassion and passion for this. Tell us about Vicky Billings first, and then what kind of intrigued you and brought you into the program? What was that one thing that just kind of cued you, this is what I want to do?
Okay. I've been with the program about 5 years. I'm also a certified volunteer in Forsyth County. And I came down here and kind of got involved with listening to things that were happening to kids. And as Rusty was talking, thinking about those kids and who talks to them and finds out what they want. So I contacted the Guardian Ad Litem Program and went through the training, and then started taking cases that day. Almost.
Well, now, you said that you were part of the program in Forsyth County, so you were familiar with how this program operates in Forsyth County. And
Yes.
and are you now living in Sampson or Duplin or where?
I live in Sampson County.
Okay.
I live in Clinton. And have very much enjoyed the interaction between the program as well as DSS. And talking to these children and relaying what has happened to them and trying to decide what would be best for that child, whether it be going back with the parents, whether it be not going back with the parents, getting services in place to try to help the child deal with the things that have happened to them with the abuse and neglect, and working with the kids has been great.
Rusty, let me go back to you with a kind of an observation. As this program comes together, there's obviously a key play here with the Department of Social Services and what they do. Does most of your cases in the district and related to children come through DSS, or does some of them come through law enforcement? How do you get, I guess, connected with that this child needs somebody? Or children need someone to look after their interests? Where does it all come in one place, or does it come from various places?
I think that's a very good question, and the truth is it comes in one place. The only way for a guardian ad litem to be assigned to the case is for the Department of Social Services to go to the courts and file a petition that alleges neglect and or abuse or dependency. So we do get phone calls from time to time from people in the community saying, how do I get a guardian ad litem? I'm interested, for whatever reason in a particular child's life or case. And we have to advise that the only route for a guardian ad litem to become involved is for DSS to file a petition in the court system.
So I guess the response then from that, and what the takeaway would be, that if a person is listening or watching this program, if they have a question in regards to this related to their child, they would be best suited to contact DSS or Department of Social Services first.
Absolutely, and what typically happens is we have what we call a multiple response system in North Carolina now, which means that DSS will work with a family prior to filing a petition. The hope is that they can correct all the behaviors and all the mannerisms to make that a safe and permanent home for the child without going through the court system. So many times DSS works with families for weeks or months to try to improve the conditions and make it a safe and permanent home before they choose to file a petition. So there are many cases that we do not become involved in, and they have happy endings. However, in the case that the parents do not follow up, do not cooperate, do not comply with some things that make it a safe and permanent home for the child, that's when DSS files a petition, and that's when we're notified by the court.
Vicky, and again, you mentioned that you were from originally in Forsyth County, were involved in it there. Can you kind of tell us what was the thing that really struck you in Forsyth County, or when you were first involvement, that said, I've got to do this. This is something I've got to step out and do?
I actually, my husband and I have custody of 3 children who were taken from their home for abuse and neglect. And seeing what those children went through, I just have a heart for those kids who have nobody to take on voicing what they want to happen. So that's how I got involved in that.
Well, and the experience you've had to date, apparently you've got quite a track record for stepping up, speaking on behalf of children. Is there one particular case that stands out, without obviously getting into details, that age-wise or what have you, that just stands out to you more than any other?
We have one that's getting ready to come to a very happy ending. It's a young man who is 13. He has been in the foster care system for 2 years, and his foster family has decided to adopt him. It has been determined that he cannot go back to either parent. And he is excited. We're excited because as the children come into care of DSS, and the older they get, they become harder to adopt. And so they end up staying in the system longer. And it's our goal to hopefully help that child get permanency, whether it's going back with their family, being adopted, or staying until they're 18 in the foster care system, which happens sometimes. But to help that child get permanency so that they can live their life.
And it's a process, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of sometimes much longer than we anticipate, and I guess you probably have had cases that maybe went smoother than you anticipated.
Yes, we have some that go very smooth, where children receive permanency within a year, and we've had some that have carried on for 5 years. And a lot of that is working with the families, as Rusty said, to try to correct those behaviors and try to have a time for the child to reflect and receive the services that they need also.
And those services, this part of it, the court part, what I would refer to as the adjudication part, is kind of that end result. I mean, this is where it's going in one direction or the other as that child's life progresses. And I think that's where we want to go from here. So what I'd like to do now is maybe take a break, and we'll come back and talk about that and look at it just step-by-step pathway kind of thing, and talk about age, some of the ranges of age and sex. We'll be back in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching We Should Know. Stay with us, and we'll be back in a moment. We're talking about the Guardian at Litem program. We'll be back.
Hello, everyone. This is Jim Darden. After 25 years of teaching horticulture at Sampson Community College, I've retired to devote my full attention to Darden's Nursery and Landscaping, where we have grown local azaleas, trees, and other landscape plants for over 30 years. And our landscaping division has designed and installed hundreds of residential and commercial landscapes, irrigation, sodding, and night light systems as well. Please give me a call at 590-9689 or at home at 592-1424, and let's get started on your landscape. Our initial consultation is free. Congratulations to J.W. Simmons on an outstanding program, We Should Know.
Hi, I'm Cliff Ireland with the Small Business Center at Sampson Community College. We offer things like one-on-one individual confidential counseling sessions. We offer assistance to both startup businesses and existing businesses. We have a network of referrals both here in the county and outside the county. And in addition, we offer year-round seminars and workshops in professional development. One of the neat things about the Small Business Center is that for the majority of the programs, it is at little or no cost to Small Business Center clients or seminar participants. Now, if you want to know how we can help you or help your business, please call 592-7176 at Sampson Community College.
You really thought about what you have to lose if you drink and drive?
This is your District Attorney, Ernie Lee. You could lose your privilege to drive and spend serious jail time.
Hello, I'm Cindy Joyner. Driving impaired can make your insurance increase significantly and could create problems in finding a quality insurance plan.
This is Sherry Matthews with the Sampson Independent. Your name could appear in the local media, causing embarrassment to your family, friends, and coworkers.
Hi, this is Luis Torres from Murphy Brown LLC. You know you could even lose your job, resulting in severe hardship for you and your family.
Hi, this is Dr. Tommy Newton, and personal injuries to yourself and others may often be severe and permanently disabling.
I'm Laura Bradshaw, a member of SAD. The most important loss may be your life or the life of someone else.
This is Cindy Joyner with Lockamy Tech Insurance. We are pleased to sponsor this message. Join us as we promote safer communities and help prevent needless tragedies.
Remember, don't lose your privilege to drive. This is First Sergeant Ricky Hooks with the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. For additional information, call 910-592-3141.
Health Mart Pharmacy.
A real live person. It's just like Jenny told me.
Another friend of Jenny's. Great. I've met about 3 of Jenny's friends just this week.
You'll meet more of us. Jenny was telling all of us last week how great Health Mart is.
At Health Mart, all of our pharmacists take the time to get to know our patients, explain their medications, and answer any questions they may have. We really believe in better care and better service.
Can I stop in after work?
Absolutely.
Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
For all of your prescription and healthcare needs, shop Matthews Health Mart in the Jordan Shopping Plaza or call 592-3121.
I'm Gary Hall, manager of Sessoms Jewelry. We are proud to be sponsors of JW's We Should Know. At Sessoms Jewelry, we've always strived to give you the latest in technical advice and knowledge on our merchandise. Remember, we should know at Sessoms Jewelry, downtown Clinton.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The name of the program is We Should Know. If you just happen to be tuning in onto us on the radio, you're scanning the dial and you've hit the program, you're wondering what's going on. This program airs 2:30 to 3:30 on Tuesdays, WCLN 1170 AM radio, Starvision TV, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. If you happen to miss us today on Tuesday, you can just hit your DVR and record us on TV and pick us up Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. in your home. If you're listening to us on radio or you're viewing us, it's a very important program. You might want to call a neighbor or a friend and say, tune in. They're talking about children. They're talking about the compassion and passion for children. And we're talking with the district supervisor, Rusty Brown. He's actually, I think, district administrator of the Guardian Ad Litem program. And we're also talking with Vicky Billings. Vicky is a volunteer for that program, and it's referred to as the Gale program, Guardian Ad Litem. So if we happen to refer to the Gale program, you'll know what we're talking about. One of the things we talked about in the first segment here was the close tie and relationship of this program with DSS, the Department of Social Services, and the referrals that come in. And Vicki, you were just kind of elaborating on some of these key kind of things that are passion points for the volunteer. One thing that interests me, and either one of you can respond to this, is there a specific age range here, or are we talking small children as in the sense of infants, and as larger children up to what age? Is there an age range, or is there just a specific number that DSS gets involved in, or is it a broad scope?
It's 0 to 18, and we see cases come in from the hospital, like when the baby's born, whether they be addicted to a substance, or we see them as old as 17. We also have cases where the age of the mom or dad may be less than 18 and they're having children. So we might have 2 children in care at the same time, and in that situation we need 2 advocates, we need 2 volunteers, 1 for each person, because what might be the best advocacy for the baby or the infant may not be the exact same thing you would advocate for the 17 or 16-year-old parent. And so in those situations, we do use 2 attorneys and 2 volunteers.
Well, Vicki, as we look at volunteers, obviously you're a female. Do you have male volunteers, and is there a difference in the way it's approached? Do you put females with females or males with males, or how does that work?
No, we have excellent male and female volunteers. And volunteers also have different interests. Some volunteers like to work with the smaller children. Some volunteers only want to work with the teenagers because they feel like they have more conversation with the teenagers and they can better get to what that child wants. I prefer to work with the smaller kids, and you'd be surprised what a 3 or 4-year-old child can relay to you when you start asking questions. So, and then when you have an infant and you're looking at that, you're looking at the birth parents, and are they in programs that will help them take care of this infant? So for me to know what to advocate to the court for the child, then I have to get a broad picture of the whole family so that I know, is it going to be a safe environment to advocate for the child to go back? Or is it going to be a safer environment for this child to go live with a grandparent, aunt, uncle, or what's going to happen to that child in the system?
You know, as we talk about this, Rusty, I'm sure there's folks out there listening to this and they just cannot imagine a child being left without any advocacy, without anyone that cares about them. And you mentioned the numbers a while ago. It's quite astounding when you think about the numbers that is referred to you through Department of Social Services. And I believe you said somewhere around 400 in the entire district, quite a few of those in Sampson County. What is some of the leading concerns when you get these folks referred from DSS? Is it substance abuse? Is it just families being broken up? Is it the child is left on a doorstep somewhere? How does social services get involved in that, and how do they end up with you guys looking somebody to look after the children in the interest of the court process?
I think if you had to stereotype a certain reason, it would go from domestic violence to substance abuse, especially in the rural communities that we're working with. But if you think about it, it can happen. We have children from all backgrounds. We have parents from all backgrounds. And to be more specific, in Sampson County, the numbers have really changed over the last 4 or 5 years. I looked up the statistics just a few days ago, and in 2009, we were working with 82 children in Sampson County, and we had 11 advocates, 11 volunteers working with those 82 children. Currently, we have 120 children. So it has gone up 50% in the last 3 years, and we have 17 volunteers that are working with those 120 children. Our goal district-wide is to have 100% coverage. We want to have a volunteer assigned to every family situation. That means if you are a volunteer and you're assigned to a case, you're assigned to the whole family case. If there's 3 children, then you're assigned to all 3 children in that family. So if I say 120 children, it's more likely that there's 50 families, give or take a few, that 17 volunteers are advocating for those children and those families. So our goal is to make it 100% coverage, make sure that when these cases come to court that there's an advocate there and an attorney advocate there to represent the child's best interests. And it is true what you said, that we have sometimes cases come to court where we just did not have a volunteer on that case. And if that happens, we're not advocating for the children in our community. So that's why we stress that we want to challenge the communities to step up and volunteer and be a part of this organization.
And when you mentioned that 120 cases in this year, 120 cases versus 2009, is that just for one county or is that for the whole district?
That's for one county. That's
one
Sampson
county, just for one county.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Now, did some of these cases come from, for example, we've familiar with Falcon Orphanage. Do some of these cases come from the orphanage? Are they in an orphanage? Then they come to you, or do they just leave the home and DSS notifies you, look, you know, there's nobody to look after this child from DSS, or do you get that from orphanages and places like that?
We wouldn't necessarily get it from the orphanage. We would get it from DSS directly.
It's got to go through DSS.
Correct. And Falcon, Methodist Home, Lake Waccamaw, all those resources that are throughout the state are very useful, very beneficial, and that's where the children that are in foster care and need those services go. If they're not with a foster family, they can be in one of these foster type situations. And they're very therapeutic environments, they're very educational environments, so we appreciate their services. They're doing us worlds of favors to keep these children while we're trying to find a safe, permanent home for them.
When we look at numbers, and of course we just talked about the 124, the district that you're responsible for, and you talked about Sampson, Duplin, Jones, Onslow, is the numbers disproportionate in one county versus another county? Is there exceptional, obviously demographics, I guess just numbers of people in Jacksonville, Onslow area I would suspect you would see more numbers, but tell us about that.
That's true. Onslow County tends to have 200 to 220 children. And we have a good base of volunteers in Onslow because it's a very military-oriented and transient community where we have volunteers coming in all the time. We have some volunteers leaving the state at other times. Duplin County has remained stable for the last 4 or 5 years. We have approximately 40 children in Duplin County that we're advocating for, and we have approximately 30 volunteers. So Duplin County stays very fluent, very well covered. Jones County is kind of a hit or miss type of situation. We've recently had an influx, but an influx in Jones County means we've gone from 5 children to 12 children. So Jones County has not been a tremendously big reporting community. But Sampson has. Sampson right now is probably the most on the increase. Just going from 80 kids 3 years ago to 120 now. It's just important that we cover this community as well.
One of the things, and again, as our listeners and viewers review this information we're talking about, and just take, for example, the 120, we'll take one county and look at those numbers. Given that as a factual bit of information, we know those numbers are there. Is there this sense that since there's 120, there may be twice that many that's not reported or hadn't got to DSS yet? There's obviously a sense of growth from 82 to 2012. Do you feel that there's a huge number out there that is maybe just at that verge of being reported to DSS?
I would tend to think that our community is doing a better job finding and locating the children that need the services. And I mentioned earlier the multiple response system that DSS is now using, which means we'll work with families before we get to court. So even though there's 120 children that we're assigned to and we're working with, there's probably another 200 or 300 children that DSS is working with currently that the parents are cooperative and they may not need to go to court to get the services in place and make sure the children are safe.
So there's a significant effort by DSS to keep the Department of Social Services to keep those folks, children within that family, as long as that family structure is safe and the child is, obviously not being neglected or abused.
Absolutely. Right.
And with that, you work with 4 different Department of Social Services, one in each county?
Yes, sir.
So you have a pretty tough job too, just trying to keep up.
I forget names when I drive across the county line.
you just got to kind of refocus.
Change gears.
Yeah, you have to refocus. Well, I mean, I think we're right on point here, and Vicky, when we come back, I want you to kind of help us walk through the process of what you're doing as a volunteer, and we'll start trying to paint that picture for folks that something we've said may be triggering them to think about this whole volunteerism as it relates to guardian ad litem. So we'll be back in a moment. We're going to continue our program today and talk to you about guardian ad litem, and as we proceed with the program, you will start getting a sense for, is this something I may be interested in? And we're going to talk to Rusty about how we get involved in that and further discuss the process of guardian ad litem. Back in a moment.
Sampson County's free community newspaper is on the stands. Read all about our community news, sports, lifestyles, weddings, education, obituaries, classifieds, and much more community information. Know what's going on in your community. Read the Sampson Weekly. Submit your ideas to the Sampson Weekly at thesampsonweekly.com. Read the entire newspaper online at thesampsonweekly.com. The Sampson Weekly wants to celebrate with the residents of Sampson County. Send all your news and announcements, events, and achievements to information at thesampsonweekly.com. See the Sampson Weekly for details. Help the Sampson Weekly create a buzz. Tell your friends and family. There's a new weekly newspaper in Sampson County. The Sampson Weekly. Local sports, local news, obituaries, wedding announcements, current events, and much, much more. Look for it every Wednesday. For a limited time, free yard sale listings will be in our classified section. Go to our website, click on the classified section, and fill out the form. As long as space is available, we will publish your yard sales information. Sampson County's free community newspaper. Get your copy.
I'm Gary Hall, manager of Sessoms Jewelry. We are proud to be sponsors of JW's We Should Know. At Sessoms Jewelry, we've always strived to give you the latest in technical advice and knowledge on our merchandise. Remember, we should know at Sessoms Jewelry, downtown Clinton.
Huff Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is pleased to be a part of the community. Each and every patient we have served over the past 13 years has been given the most current and professional care available anywhere. As a board-certified orthopedic surgeon and certified sports medicine surgeon, I am committed to improving the quality of life through the latest in medical science and surgical procedures when needed. Huff Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is located at 520 Beeman Street, directly across from Sampson Regional Medical Center in Clinton. We look forward to serving you. Call us today at 910 596-5633 for an appointment. I am Dr. Alex Huff, and we are pleased to sponsor We Should Know with J.W. Simmons.
Health Mart Pharmacy.
A real live person. It's just like Jenny told me.
Another friend of Jenny's. Great. I've met about 3 of Jenny's friends just this week.
You'll meet more of us. Jenny was telling all of us last week how great Health Mart is.
At Health Mart, all of our pharmacists take the time to get to know our patients, explain their medications, and answer any questions they may have. We really believe in better care and better service.
Can I stop in after work?
Absolutely.
Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
For all of your prescription and health care needs, shop Matthews Health Mart in the Jordan Shopping Plaza or call 592-3121.
I'm Gary Hall, manager of Sessoms Jewelry. We are proud to be sponsors of JW's We Should Know. At Sessoms Jewelry, we've always strived to give you the latest in technical advice and knowledge on our merchandise. Remember, we should know at Sessoms Jewelry, downtown Clinton.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You're on the radio. You're listening to We Should Know. Hopefully you have been listening. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the Guardian Ad Litem program here in the 4th Judicial District, covering Onslow, Jones, Sampson, and Duplin counties. However, this program is a statewide program, and it's an advocacy program that looks after children that is referred to from DSS. We want to welcome back Rusty Brown, who is the district administrator, and Vicky Billings, who is a volunteer, advocate volunteer in the Guardian Ad Litem program. You know, it's holiday season. We start thinking a lot about, or at least for me, historically, when I think about the holiday season, Christmas, November, December, that season, where really you can't help but children come to mind. I mean, right. You know, even if you don't have children, I mean, at least you were a child once yourself. You know, you think about children. And it comes to mind, and what we've been talking about to this point has really been something that specifically deals with children. I know there's a lot of administrative regulations and DSS is involved and all these kind of things, but you've got to see the face of that child, Vicky, and you talked a bit a while ago about that in the sense of what brought you to it. There's no financial gain here. No. Something touches your heart. You see a child's face, and you say you got to take action. Now, somebody out there is listening or viewing, and if they see you or they hear you, kind of help them feel that feeling you got that said, Vicky Billings, I got to do something. Okay. Help us feel that.
The thing that touched me is that I have always cared for children. And to see a child out, maybe you see a child alone, you see no parent around, you see a child that may have bruises and things of that sort, and you're thinking, wow, wonder if that child got those from playing or if something else happened. The cases that I get are the cases where something else happened. Whether it be from domestic violence, there are children who, when the parents are in domestic violence, the children are in the middle of that. They sometimes get hit, they get pushed, they get shoved. Substance abuse, same thing when parents are not coherent and the children get hurt, or the parents hurt the children without even knowing they did it. Until the child may end up in the emergency room, or the child, a neighbor calls and says, I've seen this child outside, no shoes on, it's 30 degrees, they're outside playing, something's going on. And that's where a report is made by somebody to Child Protective Services, and they go out and investigate. And not every child is taken from the home by DSS. This is where Rusty talked about they try to put services in place prior to removal, because that's not the goal, is to remove the child. But if the parents may not have the parenting skills to parent that child, and so that child comes into the system, and my job as a volunteer, as you said, I get no money or anything for this, is just, if I could have every one of those children come to my house, that'd be great. But I can't. So the way that I help that child is to talk to them, to ask them what happened, and these children will tell you sometimes more than you want to know. And with that information, then you as a volunteer try to help with, we know that DSS is going to put services in place. But you may know things from that child that nobody told you about the family. And so then you work with the social worker to say, hey, this is what the child told me, and we need to look at getting something in place for this. Or this happened to this child, and this child needs some psychological counseling. Or this child, I mean, that's my goal, is to advocate for that child to be able to return harm or not.
And you mentioned a very important part of this, I think, that we need to explore. Confidentiality always comes into question, and you mentioned you're talking to children, and I guess depending on age, and it may not have anything to do with age, but children tend to divulge things oftentimes. Are you restrained as an advocate based on information you receive, and Rusty, you may want to jump on this question too, based on information you receive that you cannot divulge or that cannot be used by the court system that relates to criminal activity, those kinds of things?
I can't relate it to anyone in the community, what that child has told me. If that child is, say for example, you're that child's neighbor, and you see me and you go, well, what happened with Bobby? Or what happened to Susie? I can't tell you that, but I can tell DSS so that we can get the services in place to help the whole family. So that is part of my goal, is to maybe provide a missing piece that DSS didn't know about or someone didn't know about, and then DSS will take it from that point. They may report something else to the police department or have something else checked into and things of that sort. But with the information that I get, then confidentially I work with the departments to check those things out.
Rusty, following that question for you, those kinds of things that maybe one of your volunteers brings to you and says, well, you know, and I'll just be kind of give you a possibility, and this is totally hypothetical by all means because I'm just shooting in the dark here. A child is 4 or 5 years old and they indicate that something's been going on as it relates to drugs, and it's obviously a drug situation. Your advocate, your volunteer comes to you and says, well, you know, this child just told me this as a result of that. Do you report that to law enforcement, and can law enforcement use that as evidential basis to take action, or is that something that is held, you know, kind of as private information and you're not able to act on it?
No, we're actually obligated as a citizen in the community to report it to law enforcement and Department of Social Services. So we certainly encourage any guardian who would come up with information such as that to report it to law enforcement, Department of Social Services, and their supervisor. Every guardian in our community has a supervisor, and we have one person who covers Duplin and Sampson County, which is Patrick Gideons. And he has an office in Duplin County, and we just obtained some office space in the courthouse annex in Sampson County. So if you don't catch him on the phone, he's running back and forth, but Patrick handles cases in Sampson and Duplin County. And it kind of goes into, I would like to discuss a little bit about, you know, how do you become a volunteer? What are the prerequisites of becoming a volunteer? And
I think that's important, and I want to get to that. But Vicky, I want to get back to and share this information too. That as an advocate, and as you're looking, people are looking at you today or listening to you today. As an advocate, you have obviously found it very rewarding. I mean, it's not just the sense that it's a tremendous job needs to be done. It's something that people need to look at. But that sense of feeling you get by knowing that you have positively helped a young person that for the rest of their life you have impacted. How does that feel? Tell us what kind of sense you get from that.
It's even hard to describe.
Yeah.
It's really Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, and that's what I want people to understand, that you're literally stepping in to this cycle of life that people look at, and unfortunately, we as a society are so busy. It's not that we take it as triviality,
Right.
but we're so busy we don't recognize that you are changing the future, not only for that child,
Right.
but for everyone from that point on that child touches.
Well, as I've said, I can't change what has happened to a child. But from the information that I have, I can try to make sure,
It's okay.
that kid is safe.
Yeah.
And that kid is in an environment to where they can get that hug. Where that kid is in the environment that they have food, they have clothing, and things of that sort. It's just helping the child.
And I think what's neat too is, as a guardian, don't feel like that you have to be responsible for providing the services. We do not provide services.
Mm-hmm.
We just recommend to the judge what services these children need. So if the services, if we say a child needs counseling, then the judge is going to see fit, and DSS is going to see fit that the child gets counseling. If they need items of clothing or glasses or things like that, I mean, our guardians step up to the plate and they tell the court and tell DSS what these children's needs are, and if they're not being met, we find a way to get them met.
Well, and I think one of the things that, Vicky was just explaining, and she just was right on point. You not only spoke what the compassion is, but you demonstrated it. It actually touches your heart to the point that you know you have got to do this. This is not something, I don't think, and you explained this a little better, Rusty, you don't want people to just are doing it to have something to do. You want people that has this kind of heart that says, this is something I care about and I have a passion for. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And we have such a respectable program in the community, and we have such a good working relationship with community partners and Department of Social Services. So it's just tremendously important that we get advocates that really care for children. And that's one of the biggest keys is, if you want to advocate for a child, if you want to be a difference in a child's life, that's one of the key components of becoming a guardian ad litem.
Well, and we're going to continue this discussion. We're going to take another break. I think it's something that hopefully, as we move to, kind of some of our closing comments a little later, that we can continue to reinforce that feeling, that sense that you have, Vicky. So we're going to take our another break, but we're talking with a couple of folks that really have a passion for children and understand the importance of that, Rusty Brown and Vicky Billings. If you will, call a friend, call a neighbor, tell them to tune in. It's that season, and all year round we need to think about children and families and what we can do to make a difference. We'll be back in a moment.
Health Mart Pharmacy.
A real live person. It's just like Jenny told me.
Another friend of Jenny's. Great. I've met about 3 of Jenny's friends just this week.
You'll meet more of us. Jenny was telling all of us last week how great Health Mart is.
At Health Mart, all of our pharmacists take the time to get to know our patients, explain their medications, and answer any questions they may have. We really believe in better care and better service.
Can I stop in after work?
Absolutely.
Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
For all of your prescription and healthcare needs, shop Matthews Health Mart in the Jordan Shopping Plaza or call 592-3121.
Hello, everyone. This is Jim Darden. After 25 years of teaching horticulture at Sampson Community College, I've retired to devote my full attention to Darden's Nursery and Landscaping, where we have grown local azaleas, trees, and other landscape plants for over 30 years. And our landscaping division has designed and installed hundreds of residential and commercial landscapes, irrigation, sodding, and night light systems as well. Please give me a call at 590-9689 or at home at 592-1424, and let's get started on your landscape. Our initial consultation is free. Congratulations to J.W. Simmons on an outstanding program, We Should Know.
I'm Gary Hall, manager of Sessoms Jewelry. We are proud to be sponsors of J.W.'s We Should Know. At Sessoms Jewelry, we've always strived to give you the latest in technical advice and knowledge on our merchandise. Remember, we should know at Sessoms Jewelry, downtown Clinton.
Interstar Communications, our local area internet provider, invites you to discover the wonders of the web with their unlimited internet services for only $19.95 a month. That's right, for only $19.95 a month, you'll have the whole world at your fingertips anytime or all the time with Interstar Communications. Plus, with Interstar's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week technical support at no extra charge, you'll have more than the local internet provider on your side. You'll have the whole internet team. So stop by today and see the friendly folks at Interstar Communications, 102 Sampson Street here in Clinton, or you can call them at 564-4638 and get started today on your adventure in the World Wide Web.
Huff Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is pleased to be a part of the community. Each and every patient we have served over the past 13 years has been given the most current and professional care available anywhere. As a board-certified orthopedic surgeon and certified sports medicine surgeon, I am committed to improving the quality of life through the latest in medical science and surgical procedures when needed. Huff Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is located at 520 Beeman Street, directly across from Sampson Regional Medical Center in Clinton. We look forward to serving you. Call us today at 910-596-5633 for an appointment. I am Dr. Alex Huff, and we are pleased to sponsor We Should Know with J.W. Simmons.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on the air. If you listen to us on radio, the name of the program is We Should Know. Contact us, we should know, edu@gmail.com. That's our email address. Again, we should know, edu@gmail.com. Also like us on Facebook at We Should Know. Star Vision TV, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. DVOS. You want to see this program. You want to hear it again. So I'm encouraging you to call a friend, let them know what's going on, and if you're missing us today, get somebody to record it for you if you're not there at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's also a reprint in the Sampson Weekly newspaper via summation. We're talking with the district supervisor for the Guardian at Litem Program, Rusty Brown, is the district administrator, I think is the correct title, and Vicky Billings, who is a volunteer. Vicky, you, I think, did a wonderful job at explaining to us what it means to be a volunteer and the importance of that as we went to break, and I appreciate you sharing your feelings with us. The process, Rusty, involved for a person that's listening today to become a volunteer. There's certain things they need to do. There's certain training they have to go through. Let's give folks a website and a telephone number if they want to find out more information.
Okay. The website you would go to, and it has a lot of frequently asked questions on the website, and it also has an application that you can download on the website. But the website is GAL4kids.org. GAL4kids.org. It'll answer a ton of your questions. It'll spotlight some of the volunteers that we have with our program, and just a ton of information on the website, and you can download an application and fill it out there.
Now, there's a training program that these folks are required to go through as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's a state-mandated training program. It lasts between 25 and 30 hours. However, we have 3 ways you can actually train to be a volunteer. One reason why Patrick Gideons is not here today is he's busy training a few volunteers for the Sampson and Duplin counties. But the 3 ways you can train are come to the classroom instruction, and we will have classroom instruction right after the holidays, beginning in January, most likely at Sampson Community College. Mm-hmm. And what will take place in the classroom instruction is likely 10 nights. We'll cover a chapter per night, and we'll cover a couple of chapters per week. So usually 2 nights per week for 5 weeks. And you'll be sworn in by a district court judge and be ready for a case. However, if that is too tedious and you cannot make it to the classes, we do have an independent study method where you can study the chapters on your own, and we will meet with you personally after each chapter or 2 and begin some discussion amongst staff and you as a volunteer about what those chapters relayed.
Is there a phone number somebody could call that maybe is listening out there? In fact, we may have some people that are just not, believe it or not, just not technology savvy, even in today's world.
Absolutely, absolutely. The phone numbers would be, the Kenansville office would be 910-275-7021. And the Onslow County number would be 910-346-5335. And like I said, if you call and get a voicemail, it's because there's a total of 4 staff covering 4 counties. So we might be in that field, we might be here. So just leave us a voicemail. We would love to get back with you. We'd love to answer questions you might have for the program, and encourage you to participate.
We talked about, and Rusty mentioned being sworn in by a district court judge, and probably when he said that, people jumped back from their TV or radio and going, "I'm sworn in by a judge. This is getting too serious." Tell us what is that all about, and is that just affirming your role, or do you become an official of the court, or what?
After that training, you go before a judge, and I will tell you that the judges here, at least when I was going through, expressed they appreciated the volunteers who take the time to advocate for these children. But the judge swears you in, and at that point in time, once you're sworn in as an official, guardian ad litem, then when you are given a case, you are given a paper that tells you can go to the school, you can go to the doctor, you can talk to the psychologist, you can talk to anybody and get any information that you need about this child to advocate for this child.
So HIPAA requirements does not impede your information gathering process. That court document allows you to look at whatever those records may be.
That court document is signed by the clerk of court, allowing me to get information that I need to help make the best decision for that child.
And actually by the judge also.
Yes.
So, Rusty, that's pretty serious when you think about it. I mean, the courts are taking this program very serious, because once they give you that responsibility, you have quite a bit of authority to look at documents. So.
Absolutely. It's state mandated. It's in the general statutes. It's covered by Chapter 7B, and it says that a guardian ad litem should be appointed to every child case of abuse, neglect, and sometimes dependency in the state of North Carolina. So our goals are just to make sure that our district, as well as hopefully the whole state, just has a guardian assigned to those cases. There's nothing worse than to go into court and have to tell the judge that we do not have a report and we do not have a guardian assigned to that case. It does happen, but very infrequently, and we want it to happen less and less.
2 quick things. One of the numbers you gave is 275-7021. That's in Kenansville. That would be the number for folks in Sampson County. If they wanted to call, they'd need to call that number as well.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. So they call that number, and remember that number is 910-275-7021. If they don't get anybody, they can leave their name. They'll call them back if they have additional questions. The website is, again, give us that website.
GAL.
GAL.
The number 4, kids.org.
And the GAL is Guardian Ad Litem. 4, meaning you're advocate for kids.org.
Right.
So those questions are there. Now, and I guess the thing that we're looking at now is, as we start thinking about this process, somebody's probably thinking, Vicky and Rusty, that, well, I'd like to do this, but I work and I wouldn't have time to do the program. It's not just for people that's retired or have nothing else to do, is it?
No, it's not. In fact, when I started the program, I was working full-time. And you can visit that child at night. You call the foster family that the child is with, or wherever the child is, make an appointment. You may do it on a Saturday. You do it at your convenience when you can work it out with the child and where the child is placed, to go and talk to that child, because that child is going to tell you what they want to happen in most cases. Also, if I could get back to the court appointment in a case, you're not, as a guardian, always going to agree with what services or how DSS thinks the child should be handled, but you're working for that child. And so that's where you make the difference for the child.
You're looking at the interest of the child rather than policy and procedure or what any bureaucracy thinks. It's about the child.
It's about the child.
And you get that. You get a good dose of that through training, I'm
yes.
sure.
I think one of the neat things I'd like to point out, too, to potential guardians is that the state of North Carolina has one of the neatest and best ways of approaching this, because if you do become a guardian and you accept a case, when you go to court, you're not on your own. We have attorney advocates that are assigned to every single case. The attorney advocate in Sampson County is Braxton Price, and the attorney in Duplin County is Matthew Cox. So when a guardian goes into court with their report and their recommendations, not only are they sitting there alone by themselves and presenting it to a judge, but the attorney is right there with them, and that attorney is assigned to the child as well as the guardian.
So that's the plus from the volunteer's point of view. You got an attorney there, and you get to talk to the attorney and say, look, here's what I've discovered, here's what I think is best for this child.
Right. Even though I have a report, when I get to court, I take a couple minutes and say, look, when we talk about this case, here's the report, and I need for you to point out this section, because this is very crucial to what happens to this child.
We're kind of coming to I guess the last few minutes of our program, and this is such an important thing. Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm serious. We could talk about this for hours. But, I want to give you guys a couple of minutes to kind of things maybe we've missed that you want to cover again, and I'll start with you, Rusty.
Well, I would just encourage people, if they're listening, no matter whether they're in the 4th Judicial District or somewhere else, contact your local courthouse and find out where the Guardian Ad Litem program is if you're interested. If you are in the 4th Judicial District, please contact the numbers that we've provided or see our website and find out, ask questions. We'd be happy to talk to you. We do that every day. And we just really want to make this a special project where we have 100% coverage. We want volunteers to advocate for the children in our communities 100% of the time. And I just appreciate the community's support with the program.
Well, I certainly hope we're doing some kind of outreach effort in helping you get additional volunteers. Vicky, give us, I've got about a minute wrap up here.
Okay. The only thing that I would like to say is that a lot of time we're blind in the community to what's happening to children. Please don't turn the other cheek and volunteer to help a child.
And listening to you, Vicky, I think it's one of those things, and I was just feeling what you were saying a while ago. It's a passion, and it seems to me once you looked through that window, that door, and saw that, you could not stop yourself from engaging. You had to get involved. So.
And that's why when I went from Forsyth County to Sampson County, I immediately got with the Sampson County because I care about those children.
And in what you said, Rusty, no matter what county is listening to us today, and there's a number of counties that listen to us on radio and, of course, TV as well, there's a way to become an advocate in any county in the state of North Carolina. So reach out and do something, especially this time of the year as we're thinking about kids really at Christmas. I mean, you see all kinds of programs out there, everything from clothes for children in need to gifts for children in need. But Vicky, I think one of the greatest gifts you can give a child or an adolescent is what you do, and that's giving of yourself and time.
And it's neat to get a hug from that child.
Absolutely.
That says thank you.
Absolutely. It fills your heart with passion and compassion. And Rusty, give us that number again. Folks can call in Duplin County.
Duplin County is 910-275-7021. Onslow is 910-346-5335.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question or comment regarding this or any episode, please send your email questions and or comments to jwsimmonsedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday afternoon beginning at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.